On December 18, 1967, while serving in Vietnam, Joe Artavia, a young man concerned about the lack of mail the members of his troop were receiving, wrote to his sister, requesting that she work towards getting his city to adopt his unit.
Dear Linda, hi there. First off, there is something I would like you to do for me. You see, back in the States, towns and cities adopt military companies over here. Now, what I was wondering is if you could talk to someone in San Mateo or San Francisco and fix it so one of them would adopt our company. You see, by having a town or city adopt us, it brings the morale of the guys up as high as the clouds.
On March 4, 1968, San Mateo adopted the Screaming Eagles A Company, ABU, of the 1st of the 327th Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division. The purpose was to improve morale among the fighting troops with messages of love and support from home. San Mateo's adoption of the unit was a bold move at a time when the general public was less than supportive of the U.S. action in Vietnam. But to the men of the 327th, it meant everything. Unfortunately, Sergeant Joe never got to see the fruits of his effort. Only 20 days after the 327th 1st Brigade became the official adopted sons of San Mateo, Sergeant Joe Artavia was killed in action. Tragically, Joe, who was just 19, was killed in a firefight trying to aid a fallen trooper.
A military car drove up to tell me that Joe had been killed in action. So set me back for a period until the reporter from the Times, Vera Graham, called me in to get Joe's picture that was in the paper, first adopted son killed in action. She sat me down to tell me that this is what your brother would want, Linda. And from that point on, I took an about face. And when I mean about face, I went out to the community and talked to schools and kids. And the support from just everyone, our civic leaders, we started sending packages and care packages and everything.
When we started getting letters and packages from citizens in San Mateo, really the letters were more important. They were just more personal. Also, a lot of the care packages that came in were too big to be sent out in the field. For the men, it brought them home.
I was very nervous, but I was also reflecting back to really seeing my brother visually in my memory. And now I was going to be walking out there with the men that served with him, with the men that were with Joe his last moments. They all had smiles and thanked me, and I felt for the first time very close to them, as if I was the oldest sister, like I was with my brother, for all of them. So that was a real moment in my life when I felt a change. Well, I think the impact of what the experience of the 4 years from 1968 to 1972 had on me personally, had an impact on me wanting to do more in terms of forming America Supporting Americans, which is a nonprofit to support our troops. It was September 11th that America Supporting Americans, Norma, as you know, really took off to expanding the adoption and the experience that I had by getting other cities and towns to do what San Mateo has for our troops.
Desert Storm was my first introduction to this program and the adoption of Alpha Company. It was just a matter of connecting the community with the soldiers, and everyone was so willing to help.
2007, after we had the adoption, the residents really came together, and it was a real clear indication that there was a lot of support, obviously, for our troops, but what was unique about it is it gave a chance for our residents to come together as a community and to participate in the program. So we had people from every different political background and every different belief background, all lending their support, coming to our station, and working with our officers and the families of our officers to lend their support and send off these packages that we send. And one item we add in there is many cards that are handwritten, both from our community, our families here in town, but mostly from our school children that go to schools here in our district. And each one of these packages gets a handwritten card from them. It was a unique experience recently to meet up with some of the troops who've actually received some of these packages. And while they were very grateful to receive a small bit of comfort we could send them in some of the supplies that came over, the thing that stuck with them most is the handwritten cards and the sentiments and the feelings that came along with them. And this seemed to be the primary thing that they held closest to them and that they kept with them throughout their deployment. And it was really telling for me at that point to hear them and to really understand that that's what meant the most to them. And it was a very close moment, a very proud moment for me here.
I have been fortunate enough to go to a couple of ABU reunions, specifically with the guys from 66, 67, 68, and a couple of them who were grievously wounded in places like the Yashore Valley and bad neighborhoods like that, were recovering in the 95th EVAC and the 85th EVAC, and did receive cards and letters and care packages from the people of San Mateo. And in a couple of particular cases, that made the difference in helping them to regain the will to survive and get up and return to some level of normalcy. And that, I think, is a tribute to the entire program that Linda started, which has since become ASA. But like I said, I personally know people who have publicly expressed that, if they didn't get those letters while they were in hospital, they don't know what would have happened.
Our nation will never be defeated when we, citizens and soldiers, stand together. Thank you for being intelligent enough to understand that the active duty soldiers that are here today that are preparing to go to war are Americans who deserve your support. You can make a difference in a soldier's life. Please continue.